given the opportunity to educate the whole child. We
I
can
hear
get
you.
free
Oh, no, I was whispering.
Oh,
okay. No, I know, but I couldn't hear you. That
That
made me a little nervous. I was like,
oh,
Lord.
Oftentimes, as parents, I think we want to protect our kids, but I think one of the greatest
Yeah, it
gifts
was
we can
DJ.
give them is allow them
It
to
was DJ.
experience.
Or did you
that
ask me if it was DJ?
Yeah.
Here's your host.
I think it was
Oh,
both.
I think it was me.
Yeah, I think it was
That's
okay.
alright.
I don't know why I said yes.
Good morning. Welcome to School Days, Help for Moms and Dads of School-Aged Kids. I'm Danita Bailey.
And I'm Maddie Elkins.
So who's Maddie Elkins? Maddie is our intern. She's been with us all summer, and I really kind of just sprung this on her this morning. It's like, hey, do you want to co-host with me this morning? So thank you for pitching in totally last minute. But
You're very welcome.
she is going to be in college next year, next fall. So I thought, this is the perfect opportunity for her to kind of voice her opinion and ask some questions of some people that are kind of experts in this area.
Mm-hmm. And I have so many, just so you're prepared.
So have you started applying already?
Yes, kind of. I went and I got all of the stuff that I needed with all the deadlines and all of the essays stuff that I need to get done. I just need to actually sit down and do it since I'm so busy with volleyball in school.
Right, you
getting
are
ready for school since we
super
start
busy.
tomorrow. So, yeah. So, it's all going to be super fast.
Yes,
so,
it
I'm trying
will.
to get everything done by Labor Day. So,
Okay.
the next month. So,
Okay.
it's all good.
All right. So your freshman year in college is full of new experiences and discoveries. Adulting for the first time can be quite a shock with new responsibilities and autonomy. The fast pace and rigor of college curriculum may come as a surprise. Many students head to college without a realistic view of how life will be. The transition can be super hard, and it can also be hard for parents as well. So a friend whose son is going to college for the first time posted an article on Facebook from grownandflown.com, and it's entitled "The 40 Thoughts of Moms." The 40 thoughts all moms have as at college drop-off. I'm going to get this. So anyway, we're not going to read you the 40, but I chose the best that I liked. So, we made it. I can do this. I am brave and strong and will not lose it. Moms have been leaving their kids at college for generations. I'm doing it. I'm smiling. I'm dying on the inside, but I'm smiling. This is stupid. There's nothing wrong with going to college and living at home. I am not brave or strong, and I am losing it. Last week, this kid was in kindergarten. Okay, this was fun and all, doing all the dorm shopping and preparing, but seriously, just come back home with us. OMG, it's like a prison cell, except with nicer windows and pretty girls next door. Pretty girls next door? Like right next door to my son, potentially walking down the hall in their see-through 90s? Nope, nope, nope. Also, I'm not old enough to have kids in college. Who am I? How is it possible I was moving into my own dorm 27 years ago, then I blinked, and here I am again with my kid? Just keep smiling. Don't look sad. Let him put stuff where he wants to put it. Yes, it's not where it should go, but it's not your home. So we just drive away now and leave him here? Yep. And that's a good thing? So before we go any further, let me just say it does take a village. If you hear a great parenting tip or nugget of advice, share it with your parent friends. Facebook it, Instagram it, tweet it, link it in, and add the hashtag #SchoolDaysShow or hashtag #IamSchoolDays. And also, if you want to be a part of the show, we would love to hear from you. So if you have any questions or comments, give us a call at 214-431-5062. So today we have on the show Karen Thomas. She's a professor of practice in the Division of Journalism at Southern Methodist University, where she teaches classes that range from beginning reporting to literary journalism. She has spent more than 25 years in the trenches of daily journalism. She worked as a feature writer for 13 years at the Dallas Morning News, specializing in family issues, narrative writing, and column writing. Prior to joining the Morning News, Thomas was a national correspondent for the Chicago Tribune and also covered education on a national, state, and city level. Thomas holds a Master of Fine Arts degree in narrative writing from the University of Georgia, a Master of Science degree in journalism at the Columbia University Graduate School of Journalism, and a Bachelor of Arts degree in Journalism English at the University of Massachusetts at Amherst. So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And Maddie, who else do we have on the show?
We also have Brooke Watson, and she is it's her third year at the illustrious Spelman College on the pre-law track, double majoring in sociology and anthropology. She is currently the second vice president of the National Association of the Advancement for Colored People. She was one of the selected students to be a tutor with the First in the World program that helps mend the gap of required class that first-year students have to take, called the African Diaspora of the World. Alongside her leadership role, she is a member of the Alpha Lambda Delta Honor Society, Dean's List, Morehouse Spelman Pre-Law Society, Spell Reads, and the Sisters Keeping It Real through service. She is passionate about the advocacy of children who are victims of the foster care system and domestic violence.
So welcome to the show. Real quick, we caught up with Kenya, who's a mother of two, a senior in high school and a sophomore in college. She shared her thoughts about her daughter's first year in college. Let's listen to what she had to say.
So as a parent, I think the biggest challenge I faced when my daughter went off to college was that I had this vision of what I wanted her college experience to be like. That was not necessarily what she wanted her college experience to be like. And so it was hard for me when she wasn't experiencing the things that I thought she should experience in terms of friends and getting involved in the campus and really just taking advantage of college in ways that I thought that needed to happen, and she did not do that. And so that was something that I learned that I should not have done.
So, Karen, can you relate to any of those thoughts that either she expressed or that were in the article?
Yes, I mean, I totally get that, and I think that is the hardest job as a parent, is that we always have expectations and wishes and desires for our children, and what we really have to do is learn to just appreciate who they are and sort of step back from what our wishes are and let them find their own way. And that's easier said than done, honestly.
Sure. Yeah.
Can you remember like any of your thoughts like when your parents like drove away, like leaving you at college?
Oh God, I remember it to this day.
Oh no.
So at Spelman we have a trillion events, but one of the last events is where you like say goodbye to your parents and the band like plays music, and then you walk into Sisters Chapel, and Sisters Chapel is where we have like convocation, church. There's a lot of stuff there. But it was like hugging my mom. I remember I looked at this girl that I had met that day, and we both were just like crying, staring at each other. And I think that was the moment I sat in and I was like, okay, I'm out of state. I know like 2 people that I met 5 minutes ago. I know no one, and the only people I know are leaving me right now. And I was just like, Mom, take me with you. I was like, I don't want to do this. This is way out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
But once we went into Sisters Chapel, like we dried up the tears, and then we just listened to music, and we all started dancing, and I was just like, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be.
Okay.
And it got easier because we always were doing stuff, but that first week was rough.
Yeah.
I bet.
I remember they drove away. I don't remember being super sad because we went to, what is that place that we went to eat at? Oh gosh, I see it in my head. But we just went out to lunch after, and we were like, okay, we're gonna start this new thing. We're grownish now.
Right.
Grownish.
Yes.
And you said Spelman was in Atlanta, right?
Yes.
Atlanta,
Yeah.
Georgia.
So I think
Cool.
that had a lot to do with it because I actually didn't want to go to Spelman. I wanted to go to University of Houston. I wanted to stay in the state, be by my friends. And so I went to Spelman the first time, and I was like, wow, this is really cool. And then I went to the Admitted Student Weekend. I was like, okay, I'm really in love. My mom was right, but I didn't want to tell her she was right.
Right.
And then like once I actually went, I think being out of state is what scared me most. It wasn't going to college. It was just like, okay, I genuinely don't know anyone, and I'm in another state. Like, what if something happens? What if I don't know how to do laundry anymore? Like, what if I
What if I forget
how to do laundry? And you know, my mom's my comfort belt, so I was just like, okay. And I'm an extrovert. I'm not introverted, so I was just like, I'll make friends. Like, I got this. But that first day, I was
Then the rubber hit
I
the
kept
road.
crying. I was like,
Aw.
please please stop.
Aw. Oh, and I forgot to mention, good gravy. I've known Brooke and Karen since Brooke was 10?
Too.
2?
No, younger. Well, not 2, because Zion was crawling around when we met them. So, not quite. She and Nia were learning how to swim together at
Okay.
the,
Yeah, we met when we were 2.
Right.
Okay.
You all were a little bit older than that. You were
She was
3
3,
or
I was
4-ish.
2.
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway.
So we've
Yeah,
known
it's
each
been a
other
long
for
time.
a really long time. So it's a little bit odd for me to see Brooke. We used to call her Brookie, Brookie Cookie, all grown up and
know,
getting ready.
it's
But that's
weird.
on the live that I just did. I said she's gonna be a sophomore in college. She said no, I'm a junior. I'm like, oh, how's that possible? So Brooke, how did you learn to balance all this newfound freedom that you were experiencing?
I feel like it wasn't that abnormal for me because me and my mom have a really open relationship. So I was, able to do a lot of things because we had that trust. But I think the first month I kept going out and I would be out until 3 or 4. And I would, text my mom like, oh, I'm going home now. And I think at a certain point she was just like, Brooke, you don't have to tell me what you're doing. And I was just like, oh yeah. It was kind of weird trying to get into the habit of not, telling her everything or not having I had the freedom of not having to do anything or not having to be anywhere. It's like, okay, I don't have to go to class if I don't want to, or I don't have to tell her I'm doing this. And that was kind of weird because I was just like, okay, freedom, but
Right.
I want to do it the right way. So I would still call her and tell her how my days were going, but she finally was just like, Brooke, you can be free. And at that point I was like, okay, let me
That was
get
nice.
together. Yeah.
Because some parents would not do that.
Yeah.
Right? They'd be like, yeah, I want to know everything you're doing.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to know when she was coming home at 3 in the morning. Honestly,
Good point.
I did not want to know that. As long as she was safe. I mean, those are things for her to sort of figure out. And the other thing about Brooke that I knew was going to be fine is that she has great time management skills.
Okay.
She's very organized. So I knew that even though she'd hit some bumps in terms of starting college, that she was also light years ahead of other students.
Yeah.
Because she knew how to manage her time.
That's
And that is
so important.
Yeah. I mean, I teach and I see students come in and they don't know what to do with the freedom because they don't have any concept of what to do with time.
Yeah.
And they're all over the place. They don't know how to manage their workload. They don't know how to manage their social life. So she already had the gift of kind of figuring that out. And I think that's just part of her personality. Isn't something I raised her with.
Yeah.
She came that way.
Yeah.
So I knew that she had sort of the things already in place that were going to serve her well as a freshman.
Well, that time management piece is huge and really trips a lot of people up because the workload, talk a little bit about that. It's not like high school and the professors are not like teachers.
No.
Yeah. I have a serious case of OCD. It's really bad.
I didn't say that.
I would say I love college when it comes to time management. I love to learn. I love to have planners. That's my biggest thing is planning in classes. So I would say the number one thing is make a relationship with your professor. I'm not saying y'all have to be best friends, but talk to them, ask questions, even if you don't feel like it, ask a question so that they know you. So that if you miss class, anytime I've ever missed class, a teacher's always emailed me and been like, hey, Brooke, where were you? 'Cause they actually care about where you were because they know you're a good student. Or if it's if I do miss class, they know I'm not missing it because I just don't want to be there.
That's
and so we have that relationship at that point. As far as the work, I would say freshman year, you're going to have a lot of prereqs, which are basically English, math, things you would take in high school, but they're different because it's okay, the professors will, depending on what professor you get, that's kind of the luck of the draw in college. You'll have really, really bad ones and really, really good ones. But I think that the prereq classes, those are the easiest it's going to get. But the workload's different. It's very whenever you want to do it, and it's kind of depending on the teacher, some are more of we have PowerPoints and then a test. Other ones are we'll read this and we'll discuss. It just kind of depends on the class, but I loved having the freedom to do work when I wanted to, or only having one class at 1 p.m. and then I can do whatever I want and still have time to do my homework. So I think that depending on what classes you take, the workload's different, but it's a lot more. It's a lot more demanding. And I'm trying to think, it's a lot more essays, a lot more actually making you critically think. It's not a lot of just A, B, C, D.
Right.
And it's hard at times, especially Spelman, because they're very rigorous with
Yeah.
their classes. In freshman year, they don't play games. Yeah.
I remember our freshman year, we did a lot of complaining about the, basically saying, don't my professors know that I have other classes?
Yeah. And
Oh, let me say something about that
Please
because
do.
you know I teach. I had a student say, "Why don't all you professors give like these assignments in the mid-semester and the end?" I was like, "It's called midterms and finals, and this is how a semester is structured, and you have to figure out how to do your work so that if you have 3 papers due on the same day, you're not going to do them all." The night before.
Yes.
This is time management. You have to plan them out.
and this is where my planners come in. I would like to point that out.
Do you have physical planners
I have,
or
like-
Oh my God.
I have,
Oh.
like 4.
are
So
you like
I
a
have-
Franklin Covey type girl? Woman.
She color codes them. And
Okay, let me tell you.
Oh,
Okay.
this is exciting.
So I have a planner that I hold, like physically take with me, and I color code them by classes. So I color code each class, and then I color code like, so when I was a tutor, I had a color for that, and then each organization I'm in, I have a color for that, and I put that on there, and then other things I just write in black. So I would do that, and then I have a dry erase calendar, so I would put that up in my room so you can visually see it. And I also took this class, and they were talking about how when you see something, it registers in your brain. Like, I forgot what it was, but it's like you're conscious of it now. So I like to write down, like, okay, you got it. This month, your goals are
Oh, yeah.
get
Writing
your
down
GPA
your goals.
up here. Like, get
Yeah.
this class to this point. So I write down goals each month that I want to achieve. My dry erase one, and then I have one on my desk that I write. Like,
she's not normal. I just want to point this
Yeah.
out. She really came up
Not
with
just
this.
a normal student. She's
Yeah.
an abnormal human.
Yeah.
So I would say for the average person, one planner is fine. But I know
Right.
plenty of my friends that don't even write in their planners and have perfectly good GPAs. So it's
Okay.
not for me. It makes me feel better, and I think the number one thing I would say is syllabus week is the week to get ahead. Like, I know most people.
No, we don't know what
Oh,
that means.
Sorry. So syllabus week is at the beginning of your semester. Basically, you'll go to class. They'll tell you the rules of the class, and they'll give you a syllabus. On your syllabus, it should have all your like quizzes, tests, things you'll do in the class. It never stays the same. It doesn't matter. It just never stays the same.
That's because of you students.
Oh,
Whatever. So we'll put it in I'll write everything into my planner and be like, okay, you have a test this day, test that day. So it's already there. So when I get to my week, it's not like I'm like, okay, what do I have to do?
Right.
It's already there. And then as far as what she was saying about, 3 essays due in one day, okay, I know next week I have this due, so I'll do it this week. So I like kind of break it up so that by the time I get to midterms, I'm not like as stressed. There's no way not to be stressed during midterms and finals. There's just no way. Like, you can't beat the game. But I think
just gotta play
having
it.
those planners is good because you know what to think of. Like, you know what's coming. So,
Yeah.
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 So your your classmates that are not as organized as you are, what are they? How are they faring? Because we've established that you're not normal.
So a lot of my friends who don't plan ahead kind of just go every day. Like, they'll be like, oh, I forgot this was due, and just do it real quick. But a lot of times they'll forget things, and then their grades will drop a little bit because they're not as organized. And I also have other friends that they can function like that. Like, they just remember off the top of their head. Me personally, I will
couldn't.
forget something in 10 minutes
No.
unless I write it down. So it's kind of a way of me being like, okay, today you need to do this, this, and that. Like, I make lists every day. Even if I have nothing to do, I'll make a list of, like, okay, go to the gym, go to class. There you go. Good job. Because it's kind of like, okay, I need to get up, do this, do that. But I know a lot of people that don't have planners, and they do perfectly fine.
Right.
They just, they go to class, and they just kind of do it in class. They'll do their homework in class, or they'll just get it done right after and not think about it.
Yeah.
So are there places that you can go to that if you did not arrive to college with these super organizational skills, are there places where you can get some help?
Yeah, we have really good tutor systems, and we also have a writing program. So say that was a big help for me freshman year, because I had a hard time learning how to write. Like, I know how to write a good essay, but I write as I talk, and that as we know.
That's not good for a lot of
yeah,
people.
that doesn't work.
Most.
So I went there, and you basically just go online, you place an appointment, and you go for either 30 minutes or an hour, and you sit with another student who's like an honor student or has been excelled well in school, and they basically go through your essay with you for free.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, and then we also have like a math tutor lab. We have basically every subject that you could think of that you can go to. You can also go to your professor. Office hours are a real thing, and office hours is where you excel. That's what I've had a lot of times that I've had an 89 in a really hard class, and I still got an A because I went to office hours. They knew my name. I didn't come in. Just don't go in there at the last week and be like, "Can you please raise my grade?" That is like the number one way to get your teacher upset. Yeah, that is the number one way to make them really, really mad. Go to office hours if you genuinely don't understand something.
Yes.
And always email your teacher and tell them you're coming to office hours, because a lot of times, sometimes they go to lunch, sometimes they're not actually in there, or just like make it known like, hey, I'm coming in, I don't understand this and that. And that's where I've gotten the most help, is in office hours. But like I said, if you don't have a good professor, then I would say the next best thing is like tutoring lab.
Yeah. So I'm going to give you a little tip here.
Okay.
This is my microeconomic story that I love to tell people. Piggybacking on what you're saying there. So I was terrible in microeconomics, really, really bad. And I would do okay on the quizzes, and then I would fail every single test. But I kept going into office hours. So I was building a rapport with my professor, right? And I finally went to him at the end of the semester before the final, and I said, okay, look, dude, I'm going to fail your class. I'm going to fail it bad. What do we do about this? You know I've been trying. And he said, okay, here's the deal. We're going to roll the dice. And whatever you get on your final is going to be what you will get in my class. So, Brooke's eyes just got really big if you're not watching on Facebook Live. So I studied my tail off and went to take the test on that morning. We're in a huge lecture hall, and we've just gotten started. And, it's completely quiet in there. And then I hear, Danita! And my professor comes running down the aisle, and he said, I didn't see you in here. I thought you were going to miss the test. He was really concerned, like he had a vested interest in it too. Let me tell you, I got a B on the test. And I got a B in the class. But it was all because I had built a rapport with my professor. He cared, and he went ahead and rolled the dice with me, and it turned out. Now, that's not going to turn out for everybody.
Yeah.
But you were saying how important it is just to build a rapport with your teacher and let them know that you are trying, that you care. You're not one of those people that's, just trying to get through and not go to class and things like that.
And trust me, I've had professors that we've gone at it, like full on gone at it. Like I had this one professor.
I don't advise that.
Freshman year, what was the class called? It was health issues in the diaspora of the world. And I'm a non-math major, so we have to take one science, but you can pick it. But the sciences at Spelman are typically really hard, like they're really rigorous. And I trusted my roommate, and she was like, just take it. And so we took it together, and she dropped the class the week, and I stayed in it, and it was the hardest class that I've ever experienced at Spelman. And granted, the professor was a genius, but she genuinely didn't know how to teach. Like, she would come in and give us 150 slides and be like, okay, we're going to have a test next week. Know each slide. And then she would ask, like, 5 questions off of one slide. And I'm like, how in the world was I supposed to study for that? And so, y'all know me. I overdo it. So I studied for, like, 6 hours. I think I got, like, a 50 on the test, maybe, like, a 46 or something.
Ew.
So I'm, like, looking around, making sure that I'm not the only one that's failed this test. Everyone in the class failed except one person who got a B. And she said the only reason I passed this is because I just took bio in high school. And so I kind of remembered stuff. And so I said, oh, no, I won't accept this. And she was like, what do you mean? And I was just like, I will go to the department head unless you give us a curve. Because there's no way that everyone in the class failed.
Right.
It's you, not us. And so then she was just like.
There's one common denominator here.
So she was bright red. And I was just like, I'm serious. Like, I'm so serious. Either you're going to pass me or we're just not going to do this. And so she curved us that time. And then I sat down with her and I was like, this is how you give a good test. And we went through.
This is my daughter here who will just take charge. I mean, I've had this problem with her since like she started school. And I don't advise
Right.
like telling your professors what
How to give an
do.
example.
I don't advise it either, but she was horrible. She
But
needed some help.
sometimes people get intimidated by her and then they follow her. And I'm like, what?
Everyone got a B in the class. I would like to
Well,
point that out.
Yeah.
That worked out.
Yeah.
What is another way that you can go about that if you have a professor that genuinely you have some concerns about?
Yeah. Well, I think your first line of defense is to go to the professor, right? That's what you do first. You go to the professor and you say, I don't understand this concept. I was talking to my other classmates. They don't understand it either. What can we do to, make this more accessible to us? Can you go over it again? Or perhaps, so that is your first line of defense is to go to the professor and, state what the problem is and that you're not alone in the problem. If you are, you can just say, I don't understand. Can you help me? And then if you don't get any results from that, then start going up the chain.
Okay.
That is when you go to a department chair and say, look, we went to this professor and we're all concerned because none of us passed this exam. We explained to her that we didn't and we didn't get any results from this. What can we do? You want to always keep it positive. You don't want to say, she's a terrible teacher. She's,
I didn't say that.
No, I know you didn't, but I'm just saying words matter and
Yeah.
how you pitch that.
Yes.
And you want to be clear that you want to learn, but you haven't been able to
Yeah.
access the material as it's being delivered.
Yeah, and let me clear something up. Yes, I was a little aggressive after the test, but after the next class, I was more positive. Like, I was like, okay, like, can we go over this again? Because I genuinely, like, there's no way that I'm going to excel on a test that has 150 slides. Like, there's no way I can study 150 slides and do well. And she was like, okay, I understand that. And she did change the test. So it was, that first day I was very aggressive because I was just like, it's not fair that we all got bad grades because you made the test like I felt like I was taking the MCAT. I was like, what's happening right now? But I think that because she had the open dialogue is why I did well. Is because she was open, like she was receptive to what I had to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I kind of had that problem like this year because I take AP and TCC classes.
Yeah, me too.
And so the finals and the AP tests were on the same week, and they overlapped and stuff. And when I had my TCC final the same day that I had my AP physics test, and my professor tried to tell me like, oh, like you're gonna take the final like a day early, but he told me like the week, like the Friday before, but I had a whole AP test, so I was like, no, I'm studying for my AP test, and I can't learn a whole semester worth of stuff. Like, well, not that I learned it, I'm going over it and stuff, but I can't like go over a whole semester worth of material just to take your test like right when I get back like from that weekend, and I have an AP test. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And so we tried to like work through that and everything, and then basically my like the like academics like advisor at my school was like, oh no, like AP comes before TCC, like you're gonna have to change your final, like you can't do that to the people that take AP classes because that's just how it is. So
Exactly.
but yeah, I'm like, I totally understand that. So.
Yeah.
So yes, and then one of the questions is like, how much space like should you give like your child, or like how like you should be like in college, because like like there are like those parents that call like every single day, because I think that's gonna be my mom, which I'm not complaining at all, but is that like a good thing? Is that like a good thing? Is it a bad thing? It's not a good thing.
I waited for her to call me in the beginning more than I was calling her, even though there were times I wanted to check in just because, and I probably had a little bit of an advantage because I am a professor, and I probably understood, and she's my second child, so I'd already gone through this with the first child. So I think that I had sort of a leg up on that experience. But she had some, major difficulties her freshman year with a roommate, without being specific, but which for me was hard to navigate because there were things she had to handle.
Right.
There were things I was upset about, but I had to allow her to sort of figure out what she wanted to do about them. And then, so as a parent, I'm doing this dance of trying to figure out what she can handle and where I need to step in and go, look, we're not doing this. So it's it's hard. It's very, very hard. You kind of have to almost sit on your hands sometimes.
Right, because you want them to, if they have not already, or to expand their problem-solving
Right.
skills. They
Right.
are adults at this point,
Right.
and you're not going to be there. And in your case, you were miles and miles away.
Right.
Yeah.
So they've got to learn that. And I can only imagine, because my oldest is 11,
Yeah.
having to just bite your tongue and
Yeah.
let them figure it out.
Yeah, it's
And
hard.
I also think the advantages is we're really close. So
Yeah.
there is always that open space. And in the beginning, I don't really think I had time to call that much. Like, I was so busy.
Yeah.
So when you first go to college, you'll come earlier than everyone else, and you'll have like a freshman admitted or freshman. Each
Orientation
school has
or
a different
whatever.
name for it, but
Yeah.
you have a week full of events. And at Spelman, we are really big on tradition, so we call it Spell Gel. So you stay in Spelman the whole week, and you do events. Like, you have convocation every morning at 7 a.m. All the way up to like 9 or 10 p.m. And that's really the moments that you bond with people, your sisters there.
Yeah.
And so I didn't really have time to like sit on the phone and be like, "Hey mom, this is what's happening." But she said I did have a lot of challenges with my roommate. And we went through a lot of traumatic things that I had never dealt with, really. And so it got to the point where like I had to come home for a weekend. I didn't miss any school, but I had to come home because it was just like so much. And I was just like, okay, I need to take a step back and just be around people who like my comfort zone and then go back out. And so I think that I had tried to, deal with it. I was like, okay, I'm fine. Like, this is, this is normal. This is freshman and then like freshman year. And then I kind of realized, I was like, okay, my experience isn't really normal. And then I was just like, okay, I need to kind of digest that and understand what's happening. So I had to take a step back and kind of be like, okay, this is happening. But, but I think having my mom there was the reason why I got through it.
Yeah.
And I went to her.
Yeah.
I came to visit and all. So, we got through it. It wasn't pretty at times, but it was also a learning curve for both of us. It was like, how hard do I push or step in, and how can I pull back so that she can figure out, what she wants to do. And it was a dance, honestly, and a rough dance. I mean, that's the hard parenting line, right? Like, I want to fix things sometimes, and this is really a realization that you can't always fix things for them, that they just have to sort of muddle through and figure it out.
Real quick, let's take a quick break to say that if you have any questions or comments for our guests, give us a call at 214-431-5062. I want to follow up on what you were saying. What advice would you give to parents that maybe have kids in high school right now and they are trying to... We had somebody online just say that she is trying not to be a helicopter parent. She struggles with that.
Right.
So how do you begin to let go?
Do it in high school,
Yeah.
because you have to start letting go. You want to see what they can do and what they can't do. If they're in high school and you're starting to let the reins out, you can correct, right?
Right.
But when they're
'Cause you're
away at college, you don't know, and you want your kid equipped to do the best that they can do, and you also want the line of communications open so that if they do stumble or get into trouble, that they can come to you.
Absolutely. We have a caller. Let's take a caller. Hi, you've reached School Days. What's your name, caller, and where are you calling from? So sorry. Oh, my goodness. Sorry. Having some issues here.
I was just calling to my son, Billy, as you know, got a scholarship, went off to college, and he loved the college experience, and I was like, just like any other mom, and everything, but I really didn't have to worry about him. He really enjoyed the experience, but he called us after the first semester, and he said, I got something to tell you guys. I was like, what? My heart just sank. I was like, what's going on? He decided that the college, thing wasn't, he put it, he didn't want to have a lot of debt. Even though everything was, paid not everything, but over half stuff was paid. So he was going to go to community college, but his college experience, he loved it. He said it was, he had really good, perception about, people he was dealing with, and he said he knew who to stay away from, and he was talking about his teachers and his classes and the help that they had, and he really, really enjoyed it, and I was really, happy for that, even though he came home like almost every weekend. He was only like maybe about 40 minutes away, but I wanted him to have the college experience, and he was glad that he had the college experience, but he just decided he was going to take another route, because, he said he could, go to community college for free and all that stuff, and I totally understand. I was secretly heartbroken because I wanted him to have that, just go off to college and, all that, but, he got the experience, and he said that he really liked it, but I love listening to this topic because that was just everything that, you guys were talking about hit home, even though it was just for a semester, but it still hit home.
Oh, yeah. Well, thanks so much for calling. Oh, hello, are you still there?
Oh, yeah, I'm still there.
Oh, okay. We have a very, very bad connection. Are you still there?
Oh, yeah.
We heard most of what you said. Thank you so much for listening. You are listening pretty much every week with us, so I appreciate your calling and giving your input.
Yeah, I did. All righty.
Okay, have a great day.
Yeah, take care.
Okay, bye-bye. So she mentioned something, our caller mentioned something that I thought was interesting. What do you do when and this isn't the exact scenario that she said, but what do you do when your child is having a difficult time at school and they keep coming home every weekend? I mean, you love the visits, but is that a good thing?
No, that's not a good thing because they're not getting used to the environment. They're able to keep stepping out of it. So you have to encourage them to stay because part of what's not happening is they're not making those bonds on campus. Mm-hmm. And when you don't do that, then you don't feel part of that community and you're going back to your comfort zone.
Right.
So I would just encourage a student to just, try and plan a few weekend events and stay there this weekend, and see how that goes. Because that's how you became part with your friends and all. I mean, you all are in the same boat. Well, of course, she was too far away to do that. But, you have to give it a chance. It is a change, and it takes time to become part of a new community. Mm-hmm. And it takes time to have a new routine and a new life. Yeah. And you just have to appreciate that as a freshman. Yeah. And it's not always comfortable. Change isn't always comfortable.
No.
And remember, the kids you're with are going through the same exact thing. And that is what's going to make you bond. You're going to want to eat dinner together, or you're going to want to hang out on a Friday night because you're missing home. Yeah. And, so those are the opportunities where your friendships grow. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Your parents are going to be there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that's what I always say, oh, I want to get away from home and I want to be by myself. But in reality, I know I'm going to be that person that comes home every single weekend if I'm able to, if I'm in a distance where I can drive home every weekend if I wanted to. I know that's how I'm going to be. And I think that's with the whole comfort zone thing, where I feel even when I'm in social situations, when I'm not really close with the people that I'm around, I think I actually I think my mom was she would agree too. We were at a volleyball tournament and I have my friends and stuff, but my mom was there and all of my friends had their little groups and I'm not super extroverted and I don't want to go and interrupt and try to throw myself into the conversation. So I was oh, let me go talk to my mom because she's there by herself and let me just talk to her. And she's go hang out with your friends. But I'm I want to talk to you because you're my mom.
Yeah.
And, and I feel I'm always she's my comfort zone because, I talk to her all the time and, so that's how I feel I'm going to be. And I'm I need to learn how to not always have her as my comfort zone and be able to go out and do things on my own and not always, Mom, how do I do this? What do I do? I don't know. Right. And just talk to me about everything and,
I mean, I will say that, kind of what my mom said, the times that you find your friends is that first week. Freshmen stick with freshmen. Yeah. We're all in the same boat. None of us know what's going on. We're all trying to figure it out together. And then also another way to like make friends is like organization. So getting into clubs, finding people who have the same interests. Your major, I have a lot of major friends that we are just like,
Major friends.
we're in this together, right? Let's write this essay together. Let's do this together. So I think that's the number one way. Also, I just want to say that like college isn't for everyone. Like hearing what the lady said on the phone, like I've seen people come to Spelman and I just don't see them for months. Like they don't go to class. They're usually, you know, have a boyfriend or they starstruck and they just, some people genuinely don't know what to do with the freedom.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, I don't know if it goes back to parenting or not, but like I know a lot of parents that are like very overbearing and never really let their child kind of have that experience of freedom. They get to school and they just lose it because they don't have any sense of like, okay, they have no middle ground. It's kind of like, okay, I've always been told I have to be home at this time. I can't do this. I can't do that. To just having the ability to do all of it. It's like some people don't know restraint. So I definitely would say that like, if you can,
I think that might have been me.
if you are a parent, you know, that has a kid that's going to college soon, like let them go out. Let them, I'm not saying like let them do whatever they want, but kind of give them a little bit of freedom because even I didn't know what to do with the freedom. Like sometimes I was like, wow,
I can just do what I want.
Right. Like it's like really weird. It's just like, oh, I don't have a curfew. Like I don't have.
I remember that moment too in college.
Yeah.
I really do.
And it's
you're
really
like,
weird.
wow, nobody's gonna say it's 4. Where are you?
No.
Like really?
Yeah.
No. You got your RA.
Yeah.
But
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And the RAs are our age, so they're not gonna.
Right.
They're out
not
too.
going to parent you.
Yeah.
No. Yes.
And I also would say like that first semester, I missed my home, my dog, my
Yeah.
parents so much. But then those moments when I felt sad, I would just call or FaceTime, or I would just, you know, be around your friends. Like I think that's the number one thing I love about college. Is like if I'm sad or stressed, I can just go grab one of my friends and be like, let's go get donuts, or like let's do something random, so that you're not just like sitting in your room sad.
Yeah.
So I think that's good to always have people around you to occupy your time.
So, Karen, this is a huge change for some kids. So, I know my next door neighbors, the weekend that we started school, immediately got tattoos.
Oh, yeah.
So, what do I do? Should I be concerned about some of the changes I see in my child? Like, you know, my parents I got very spiritual when I went down to college. And so my parents thought I joined a cult. And so, you know, what would your advice be to parents? Because there are going to be changes.
I think you pay attention and know your child well, and you'll know when your child's really in danger. But otherwise, they're also expressing who they are as an individual. And maybe you're not into tattoos, but they are. It's their body, and they're 18. And there's, you know, all you can say is, you know, please put it somewhere where you could cover it up when you get that corporate job like 10 years from now and it's not cute.
It's changing a little bit now.
It
I heard
is.
something on
It
NPR about
is.
how tattoos are more in
Yeah.
for corporate America.
I mean, it's
though.
2019. Like,
Yeah. No, you know, and things like that never upset me about my children. I mean, they had piercing. She has a tattoo. I didn't overreact to that because I just saw it as an expression of, you know, trying things on for size, and they were tasteful, honestly. But yeah, I mean, I think you have to pay attention because some kids really do get into trouble, honestly. And a lot of times it helps. As a professor, I can see it happen in the classroom. I can watch a kid crumble sometimes and see them go down. And when that happens, I do reach out to the services that we have on campus so that the student isn't out there. Or I will, if I have a relationship, I'll pull that person into my office and say, I noticed a real difference in your work. What's going on? Are you okay? How can I help you?
Right.
And that's really it's not necessarily my job, but it is my job because I care about my students and I don't want to see someone fall through the cracks like that. But parents ought to be paying attention to. Do listen carefully, but do also realize some of this is just trying the freedom on.
Yeah.
And sit on your hands.
Yeah, and it may not stick. Well, the tattoo will, but
Yeah. Well, you can, like I said, encourage the tattoos. Like don't use foul words. Don't get that tattooed on you. And
don't tattoo the boy's name on your body.
No, don't ever
Do
tattoo
not
anybody's
tattoo
name.
the boy's
No.
name or the girl's name.
No. And nothing on your neck and nothing on your face.
Definitely nothing on your face. So I see we have a question with one of our Facebook listeners. You want to read that? And who is that?
Um,
Do you know that person?
right here.
Mm-hmm.
That's my mom.
Oh.
So I don't think it's really a question. It's like more of a comment. Do you want me to read it?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, she says, I haven't been able to get through, but my comment to Madison is that I want you to use college as a stepping stone to spread your wings and fly. We will always be here for you as a soft place to land, but use this time to make new friends, do new things, and have the time of your.
And your mom has the
Yes.
right idea.
I know.
Yeah.
She
She
does.
does.
Yeah.
All of her intentions are very, very good.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, what are some of the biggest distractions you or other people around you have experienced in college?
Oh, she's laughing.
Yeah.
I would say probably the number one thing is like relationships. So, Spelman is an all-girls school, but we do have Morehouse, which is like literally 2 seconds away from us. My first 2 years of college, I had a boyfriend, so I mean, I wasn't really focused on the guys, but a lot of people can, get boy crazy just as much as boys can get girl crazy, and it's like, no one's telling you to go back to your dorm room or to go do your work. Also, friends can be distraction. I know a lot of times, like, we'll go to the library to study, and we have a joke within the AUC, and the AUC is Atlanta University Center, which is Clark, Morehouse, and Spelman. We call our library, which we all three share, we call it Club Woody, because no one ever gets any work done at the library. Like, during midterms and finals, it's literally like a club. Like, everyone's in there talking, loud, eating, playing games. Like, it's not.
Why is it a library?
I don't know.
There's books there.
There's quiet zones. You can find a quiet zone, but like, for the most part, if you need to study, don't go to Club Woody. So freshman year, we all were in there every day. Like, we had this big friend group.
funny.
It was like 20 people. It was like 10 guys, 10 girls, and we would fake study together. So I would never go there with actual work to do. Like, I would have like, busy work, stuff I can half do and still get an A on. But I would say, knowing those boundaries, like, if you have a serious test, do not study with your friends if you know you're not actually going to study,
Right.
Because then you'll not do well.
Oh, yeah.
Then you'll be like, well, I probably should have separated myself. And some friends I can study with, we know, like, we'll be like, okay, let's not talk for 30 minutes and we'll get work done, and then we'll talk for 5 minutes, and then we'll be like, okay, let's go another hour and then stop talking. And people like that are really good to have during like midterm and final season. Like, I know my last final, I was up for 3 days straight, and we literally spent the night in the library and just cranked out all of our work. I was so exhausted to the point where, like, when I got home, my mom had to feed me in the bed the food.
She just passed out. She came in and curled up in a knot and went to sleep for like a day.
Did you remember anything?
Yeah, I did well. I mean,
She did really
I got
well.
A's, yeah. But it's just kind of like I was saying earlier, you can get ahead, but with finals, it's still kind of like you have a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
And I'm the type of person that, like, I know if I go to my room, I'm going to go to sleep because I'm so tired at that point that I'm like, let me stay in here and crank it out, be around people that, I can talk to if I need to take a break and just yell or do whatever. Like, we had dance breaks, we had food breaks, all types of things. So it's kind of like knowing yourself. Like, if you know you're the type of person that can't study around people, don't go around people. Don't even leave your room. But if you know you're the type of person that can multitask, then I would just say learn those boundaries early on.
Yeah.
And then just go from there.
I think also it's important to know your freshman year and just in life.
Yeah.
Keep good company.
Yeah.
You need to gravitate towards people that share your values. If you want to get good grades, don't hang out with, we had a group that we called literally the Dominoes Playing Fools, because all we ever saw them do was play dominoes. We're headed off to class. They're playing dominoes in the lobby. And they were still there, and they were upperclassmen, but they were still there when we were upperclassmen.
Yeah.
So they were
they were
on the 8-year plan.
Yeah.
Yes. So gravitate towards people who share whatever your values are,
Yeah.
because bad company corrects good morals.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I will say that is one of the things that I admire about my friends most. Most of them come from private schools, so they're really, really intelligent, and they can, I mean, we mess around a lot, and, we joke around, but we all take our grades really, really seriously. And I admire that, because I see certain friend groups and I'm like, y'all definitely don't,
Yeah.
have, and sometimes it's like, okay, I just want to have an intellectual conversation. Like, not everything is games. Like, I want to talk about serious things, and like, I love that I can have that with my friends, but we can still also talk about, like,
Yeah.
not dumb stuff, but other things that, you know, are just not as serious.
Right.
But yeah.
And on the flip side, if you don't have good values about academics, maybe you want to find those that do.
Right. And that's
And
another thing.
become friends with them.
If you're struggling in a class, study with the smartest person. I know it sounds weird and it's like a little awkward to go up to someone and be like, hey, can we study? But I've done it before and it's really helped me. Or like even having friends that are like, you know, better than me at something. I'd be like, hey, can you sit down with me for a second and just kind of explain this? Because not everything that your professor says is reciprocal. Like, you're not going to understand everything, and sometimes it's just talking to someone else or someone who's already been through the class.
Yeah.
Of like, hey, this is how it goes. Like, this is how you do it. That's always helped me too.
So you can just go up to a random smart person and say, I need your help.
See, the thing about Spelman is it's really small, so we kind of know everyone, so it's not that awkward for me to be like, hey, can you be my friend?
She's an extrovert.
Yeah,
Right.
that's
I am
another
not.
thing.
I would never do that.
You would never do that.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. If you're not comfortable doing that, you can always do like office hours or
Yeah.
tutoring. Like, you don't have to, but I mean, for me, it's not hard for me. So
Yeah. So you've mentioned a couple times you're at a small school. Do we need to, as parents, kind of steer our kids based on who we know they are? I know they need to make a good decision, but, you know, A, a 4-year college isn't right for everybody, and B, a huge university with these, you know, hundreds of people in a lecture hall is not necessarily right for everybody. Some people need a smaller college type experience. So what would you say about that?
Yeah, that's interesting because, as she said in the very beginning, she didn't want to go to Spelman.
Right.
Spelman got on her list because
You put it
I
there.
kind of knew it was going to be a really good choice for her. As you can tell, she's really extroverted, so being at a large university probably would have been okay for Brooke. But I just kind of knew who she was and the kinds of things that she had started to value. And Spelman just seemed like it was going to be a really good fit for her. And but now the trick is not to push it, right? Because college is her choice. It's not my choice, even though I'm paying for it. Anyway, but it's not,
totally different.
it really, she has to figure out where she wants to be too. So I asked her just to keep an open mind. Just keep an open mind. Apply to a couple of different kinds of schools. Let's go see them. She wouldn't even go see Spelman, okay? And so she put in her applications and she got accepted. And when she got accepted, I was like, okay, now we have to go see it. And when she got there, her reaction was, this is exactly what I didn't want. It's small. There's no football team. It's all girls. Like,
the dorms are from
the
1881.
dorms, the dorms were antiquated. And she said, but you know what? I feel like I'm home. And so, and I was like, and I just stepped back. I mean, I'm going like this, like, yeah.
On the inside, not on the outside. Don't do it on the
No,
outside. Never.
it's still her choice. So,
Right.
And she remains calm. She was just like, do whatever you want. But I think in that moment, that was the first time I actually felt like fulfilled. Like, I felt like I went to a lot of like tours and I was just like, okay, all of y'all have the same thing. You're saying the same 5 sentences. I get it. Y'all are good. But like, it was just like nothing. It was just a lot of state schools. It was just a lot of, not that they're bad, but, what am I trying to say? I just wasn't really.
they weren't speaking to you.
Yeah, they weren't over the top, like, exciting. I was just like,
Yeah.
okay, I can see myself here, I guess. But it wasn't like, yay, like, I really want to go here. So, and I kind of felt lost with that for a long time. Like, I applied to 9 colleges, I think. And I was accepted to all of them, and I was waitlisted at UT. But I just still wasn't, like, excited about the process.
Yeah.
Like, I was just kind of like, okay,
You were
I
not
guess.
that into them.
Yeah, I was like, this is what I have to do, so let me do it. But once I went to Spelman, it was like a different type of
Home.
yeah, like I had butterflies. It was like, okay,
Aw.
this
That's
is
awesome.
Yeah, this is exciting.
I had a very similar experience, the whole thing that you're talking about, because I was at Howard University. That was where I wanted to go. That's in DC. And I wanted to go to a black school, a historically black university, and I wanted to have the whole experience. And they still have my deposit for my dorm.
Oh, wow.
Right? And my mother was like, what about the University of Houston? And I was like,
Right.
I don't want to go to U of H, and it's too close. I wanted to be as far away from home as possible, and I wanted to, have my freedom and do all that stuff. And she said, well, let's just go to the Explore weekend. And the Explore Weekend was what got me. I met my roommate there, and I met a group of girls, and it ended up being home for me, and I had a great college experience. So if there are any kids that are listening, we do kind of know our kids, especially by the time they're, juniors and seniors in high school. And so you might want to just, put something on the list that your parents suggest. I'm not saying you have to let us make the decision, but
Definitely
we might have some good suggestions.
I was opposed.
Yes.
And I didn't really appreciate it until I was at Spelman.
Mhm.
And I think one day I called my mom and I was like, just thank you for
Aw.
actually pushing me to go, because I would have never went and I would have never had this experience if it wasn't for you to just say, just put it on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when she asked me, I was irritated. I was really
She
not
was.
feeling it.
And what characteristics do students need to be successful their freshman year? Besides like organization
Right.
stuff that you
So
don't.
we got that. We need a planner. We got that.
I would say just be open. You're already getting out of your comfort zone, so be open to joining clubs that you're interested about. Really pay attention to what you like. If you're not feeling your major, it's okay to change. Don't try
Absolutely.
to stay into your major because you're trying to please your parents or you're trying to please other people.
Amen.
Because a lot of people have changed their majors. I've changed my I didn't change it. I just added on a major, but it's going to happen eventually. And if you feel it, do it earlier than later, because if you sit there for 2 semesters and you're like, wow, I really hate this. And that's another thing. Like, you should be not excited to go to class, but at least interested in what you're doing or interested in your classes. So I would say do that. Also, just be like aware of how you're feeling. Like, mental health is a big thing in college and people don't talk about it. It's a lot. Like, having that many classes and having things to do and just having that freedom, being by yourself. No one's always constantly saying, are you okay? Like, we do the, oh, how are you? And you say good no matter how you are. But like, mental health is definitely a big thing, and a lot of people go through it in college. Like, I gained a lot of anxiety that I never had before college. And like, depression comes. It's like you're in this new environment by yourself doing a million things.
You're adulting.
And it sucks. So definitely,
You thought it'd be cool, but it isn't.
it's not. It's not at all. So just pay attention to yourself, but be open. Be open to friends. Be open to clubs. I have friends now that I would have never talked to in high school. Like, never.
That's good.
I probably
to
wouldn't
know.
even liked them. Like, honestly. So I think putting yourself, getting out of your comfort zone, being open to joining new things. Like, college is a chance to be a new you, to do whatever you want to do.
Start
but also
over.
the time management and organization.
That's your last thought. Yeah, I mean, they say you find yourself in college because you're going to encounter so many different people because we really do live in a bubble. Most of us live in a bubble, but in college, you are joined with people from all their different bubbles. And, if you just let yourself, you can have the opportunity to learn different things and find out about different people and different backgrounds and experiences and help yourself grow into a more interesting, more well-rounded person.
And it's definitely uncomfortable at first. Like, it's very, very uncomfortable.
What would you say characteristics to be successful as a freshman?
A lot of what she said is good. The other is just to know when you have to take care of yourself, like figure that out. There are times where it's okay to come home and get in your bed and go to sleep and have your mom cook for you. There's no shame in that. I wouldn't want to see you do that every weekend, but there are times where you really do need to take care of yourself. And so feel free to do that when you have to.
Yeah.
And being open to me is the best thing about it. It is a new experience. You are figuring out who you are, and you have to be open to that process.
Yeah. And last advice for parents?
Let go. Let go. It's going to be okay. You love them. They have wings. Let them flap. And when they fall down, I can't say this enough, go sit on your hands. You have to sit on your hands. I mean, you'll know when you have to scoop in and pick up. But by and large, don't try and fix everything. Let them learn.
Yeah.
Amen. You're hearing that online? We got a couple of people with kids that are going off to college, and they're like, wow.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of tears.
Well, unfortunately, we are out of time. Thank you guys so much for joining us. At this time, we always want to let you guys know what's going on with Noggin. So My cards are all messed up here. I wouldn't normally say that out loud, but now I'm having to stretch here. That's funny. So save the date for 9/19/19. That's North Texas Giving Day, which is an 18-hour online giving event designed to empower every person to give back to their community by supporting North Texas nonprofits and causes that they care about. Each year, we receive support from cities all over the U.S., we meaning Noggin, and because now we have reached kind of all over the world with this show, we are hoping that we will receive even more support from different people. And the money that we get on North Texas Giving Day is going to be used for to fund our free tutoring program. This year we were able to give 13 students free tutoring because of North Texas Giving Day, and right now we already have 6 students on the waiting list. Yay. And we want to make room for a whole lot more. So this year we need 334 people to give $30. So what we'll do is we'll keep you posted about our progress, and you can start scheduling your giving starting September 9th, and North Texas Giving Day is actually September 19th, which is my birthday. So I'll mention this more as we get closer and provide more details, but I just wanted to put a little bug in your ear. So next week, we'll sit down with Talisa Brown, who's the Director of Guidance and Counseling for the Arlington Independent School District, and Jody Dunn, who's the lead counselor at Beckham Elementary School in Arlington. They will discuss with us helping your child transition well from elementary to middle school, from middle to high school, as well as other transitions such as homeschool to public and public to private and things like that. So make sure you share with your parent friends about next week. As always, head to our website, schooldayshow.com, for more information. And remember, you don't ever have to miss a show. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, and pretty much anywhere you listen to your favorite podcasts. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Noggin Foundation. That's Noggin. And do you YouTube? You can find episodes of School Days and other videos featuring the fun educational programs we offer on our YouTube channel. Search for Noggin Educational Foundation. And last but not least, we always want to end our show by saying that David and I are parenting by grace. We depend on God to give us the wisdom and strength we need to raise our kids into flourishing adults. And if you want to know more about that, feel free to email me at info@schooldayshow.com. You guys have a great week.
School Days is sponsored by Noggin Educational Foundation. At Noggin, we provide free educational resources to students from low-income families and support to their parents like the preceding broadcast. School Days is made possible by the generosity of listeners just like you. Please consider donating to Noggin at Noggin, Noggin, Foundation.org.